Hey everybody, is it still possible to play MTG Arena for free in 2026? That's what I want to talk to you about today. I have 5 simple strategies to make sure that you're not wasting any money while you're playing this game. Magic is an expensive hobby. There's no way around that. But juggling a paper collection and a digital collection can be too much for some players, right? And so with these 5 strategies that I'm going to talk about, you also can play free to play. My personal account and my channel's account have been free to play for the last 5 years. And so we've had no problem putting together the decks that we wanted to play with these strategies. So the first strategy that I really want to talk about is making sure that we are taking advantage of the starter deck queue. So if you don't know where that is, if you go back to your home and you hit play and you go to events, right? It's under constructed and it's right here, starter deck duel. As soon as you're done with the tutorials, all 10 of these starter decks will be unlocked and you will have all the color pairs. These decks have been updated since Magic Foundations have came out, and they're so much more fun than the previous decks had been. Some of them had only gotten small tweaks, some of them were completely reworked, but they're a lot of fun. Most newer players start with Vampiric Hunger and the life link, the life gain triggers that it affords. My personal favorite, if you're looking to get into Magic or get back to Magic and you just really want to hammer in the mechanics, it's Arcane Aerialists. This is a flyers deck that really puts you in control and makes you have the decision-making power for combat. When do you think you want to push the tempo and attack? When do you want to sit back and defend, right? Because your attackers are generally speaking flyers and most of the other decks don't have as many, you get to control. So these 10 decks are one of the best resources for free-to-play players. If you're new to the game, this is where you really want to hone in on what the colors do, right? The Simic deck is a ramp deck, like a lot of Simic decks that are out there. The Boros deck is a small creature deck that goes wide. Same thing with the Cat Attack deck. The Reckless Raid is reckless, every single turn attacking all the time. Wondrous Wizards, this is a kind of a hybrid deck. It has an aggro start, but it has a big dragon finish with a lot of things that reward you for playing non-creature spells. They're a lot of fun to play against each other, and in this queue you only play against other decks that are in this queue. So all the power level remains very similar. There are some that are kind of outliers, right? I think Aerialist and Vampiric Hunger maybe on the top side. On the bottom side, Might of the Legion and Morbid Machinations. These are decks that, struggle to get a couple of wins there, but all the rest of the decks are right in that middle band where they're a lot of fun to play against each other. Now, remember that you have all 10 color pairs, because that's going to be important when we move into our second topic. And that's making sure that you're doing your daily goals. So when you go to your home screen, you're going to have up to 3 daily goals down here in the bottom left hand side. I'm going to move myself out of the way so that you guys can see it. It's right over here in this bottom side. Now you're going to get 1 daily goal every day, and you can collect up to 3 of them. So if you don't play every single day, when you get back you'll end up having 3 of them. About 75% of them reward you with 500 coins. You can also re-roll one of your goals every single day. And so one of the tricks for free-to-play players are making sure that you're always re-rolling a 500 gold quest to try and get a 750 gold quest. Why? Because it doesn't matter if a goal is something that was easier or harder. Most of the goals are play 20 green and black spells. Well, if you don't have a green deck or a black deck, we just went over the starter decks, right? And so you have not only a green and a black, you also have a green-black deck. And so you can get those play 20 spells really quickly when you use them in conjunction with the correct starter deck. correct meaning the same color pair, not correct meaning the best one to play, that will be the one that gives you the most fun. But you can go ahead and knock out your daily goals very quickly. Generally speaking, it's between 2 to 3 games that you can go ahead and play those 20 spells on. The starter deck games tend to go a little bit longer, probably to turn like 9 or 10, and so you have time to play a good number of spells. With this technique, to make sure that you're trying to get a 750 gold quest as often as possible, and the first 15 wins giving you extra bonuses on a weekly basis, means that you're going to be netting about 1,000 gold every single day. That's going to be really important because the cost to play something like a quick draft is 5,000 gold. The cost to play something like Jump In is only 1,000 gold. So you could go ahead and you can play those formats very frequently. Quick Draft is probably like once a week you can get in there and do a free meaning you didn't pay for it. A quick draft that costs 5,000 gold, and when you win, you get rewarded in gems. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if you go back to the play and you're looking for events, you go to limited, and then you're going to go over to the quick draft format. There's always a quick draft format. And these formats are going to show you 5,000 gold to enter, and you win gems. So this is a great way to do the conversion, right? You spend 5,000 coins to get into a quick draft. You end up going, say, 4 and 3, right? A pretty reasonable expectation. You get yourself 450 gems and a pack. Now, when you buy packs in the store, they cost 1,000 gold per pack, right? But you're also drafting, so you're getting 3 packs worth of cards. I don't suggest that you just rare draft, but if you did, you'd be getting the same number of rares as 3 packs, right? Plus, with something like this, you're always getting this bonus pack. So you're getting 4 packs worth of cards plus this 450 gems for your 5,000 gold investment. Now, if you're a newer player and your win rate is not that high, let's say you're averaging 2 wins, this is not quite as effective, but it is the best way to start stockpiling gems rather than gold by turning your gold into those gems, right? So let's say you go 2 and 3, right? You're going to end up with 4 packs of cards, right? Which in the store would end up costing you 4,000 gold, right? And you're going to end up with 200 gems for the other 1,000 gold. If we look at the store and we look at what you can buy pack-wise for that cost, right? That 200 gems buys you that 5th pack that you would have, right? So going 2 and 3 gets you 5 packs of cards for 5,000 gold, which means the experience of playing that quick draft is free. Now, as free-to-play players, everything here is free, right? Like, I definitely understand that, but it's definitely something you want to work towards. And as you get better at Magic and you're averaging closer to 4 wins per quick draft rather than 2, you can start netting and getting ahead of the expected value that you would have if you were just taking your gold and buying packs and then opening packs from the store. The next tip that you would have is when you're considering time to move over to constructed formats, specifically standard. Most people end up going from new players over to standard. You want to try and stick with monocolor decks. One of the biggest sinks of MTG is how many wildcards you need to spend on your mana base. So this is a pretty budget-friendly deck. This is mono white aggro, and it only uses 9 rare wildcards. And so you could put this deck together on the cheap. Now, it does use a lot of uncommon wildcards, and if you're brand new to the game, uncommon wildcards can sometimes be pretty rare to get to. But if you are spending some time in the starter deck queue, you will have enough to put together your first deck. So a deck like this features 9 rares. That is 4 Spellbook Vendors, which also has a decent replacement for it, and 4 a Most Helpful Weaver. Now, there is a replacement, there is a budget version, but a Most Helpful Weaver is certainly better than the replacement card, and then it just uses 1 land. Let's take a look at a typical 3-color deck, and we'll look at something like Esper Artifacts, right? Now, look at the lands that we end up having to run. 3 Starting Towns, which are rare. 4 Multiversal Passages. Again, Multiversal Passage is an amazing card to craft because you'll use it in all of your decks, but we're already at 7. 11 when we get the Shocklands. 15 when we get the Verges. Another set of Shocklands. Now we're at 19. And we're at 23. So 23 rare lands and a single basic for this 3-color deck. And so if you are starting out and you want to play standard as wide of a variety as you can, stick to the monocolor decks. Right now we have multiple mono white decks. You have aggro, you have life gain, and you have angels. You have multiple mono black decks. There is the skeleton version. There's a hand discard version. Mono red has two main archetypes right now. The mono red burn version and the mono red firebending version. And then we also have mono green, right? The mono green landfall deck with or without the Tifa combo. So that's really 2 different types of decks. There is a mono blue tempo deck, although I haven't had a lot of success with it. It doesn't see a lot of play. I think it needs a little bit more work, but there is at least a mono blue deck out there if that ends up being your favorite color and you want to build into something like that. So monocolor decks is the best way to go. Now, speaking of mana bases, one of the things you can do is build your mana base in a wedge. So let's take a look at the Jeskai control deck. This would be the wedge that I would recommend for newer players, and this is red, white, and blue. The reason is you end up having more options of being aggressive or controlling if you keep your mana base in a wedge. And the reason I say that is if we look at the Shocklands, there are a total of 10 Shocklands, 1 for every color pair. Now you're going to need 4 of each for each color pair that you have. And so it's very daunting for a new player to come in and say, hey, drop down 40 wildcards to get all of your Shocklands. And we know from paper play that that's not usually how it ends up going. You usually get a couple and you're replacing basic lands, you're replacing maybe some of the common tap lands, and you're building your deck over time. If you can keep your kind of width of decks to a single wedge, right? You can play the Is It Lessons type decks. You could play the other odder decks that are a little bit more aggro. You could play mono red. You could play mono white. You could play the Boros colors. You could end up playing control and play something like blue-white control, or even just Jeskai control once you have enough and you have all 3. If you pick a 3-color wedge and try to first get your lands in those 3 colors, so get all of the Shocklands. Now you only need 3 of the Shocklands for each. So now that's 12 rather than 40. Same thing for the Verges. That would be the next set that you would want to go ahead and get. And then there are ones that are specific. If you're playing something like Control, you could look at getting the Archives, which give you the Surveil. But these are specifically for Control decks because most decks don't want to miss out on the land drop. So Shocks and Verges are the first set of lands that you'd like to do. So if you have a wedge 3-color combination that you really like, this would let you get the full mana base, or something close to the full mana base anyway, for 6 of the lands, right? So you would get 3 sets of shocks, 3 sets of verges, and this way you'd be spending 24 wild cards rather than 80. Again, you don't have to get them all at once, but it'll help you build up over time, and that's what you have to do as a free-to-play player. And my last tip has to do with decks, right? And so it's very easy if you know somebody with a very large Magic collection, or if you watch some YouTube and you're watching some channels, maybe even my channel here, right? It's very easy to look at the set of decks that I have here and say like, oh, isn't it great to have all the decks? Well, the truth is, I only get to play as much Magic as I have time for. I'm limited by time, not by deck selection, right? And so you don't want to go and waste wild cards chasing a deck that you might not play, you might not like. I have a mono black demons deck. I've done one video on my channel about it. It's not a deck that I did particularly well with. It's not a deck that I particularly like playing. Right now, I might come back and revisit it, but again, that's because I'm doing the channel. If you're playing for fun yourself and you see a new strategy, please make sure you're watching some YouTube channels about that deck. Please make sure that you have like an entry point. If it's something like, a demon deck, make sure you're playing with some commons and uncommons before you go ahead and just build everything and build all the rares and mythics. Once you build them on Arena, you can't dust them in any way like you can in some other games. So once you build them, those wild cards are gone, right? So really hone in on what decks you want to build. If you are thinking about, hey, I see a lot of people playing aggro decks, I want to be a little bit more aggressive, go back to the starter decks. Go to Reckless Raid and play that deck and feel what it feels like to attack every single turn. Feel what it feels like to attack into a bigger blocker than you have, but you know you have to attack, because if you stop attacking, then your strategy goes out the window. Play those decks and look at the strategy of the decks before you make the initial investment and go out there and get all the mythics and end up spending something like 30 rares and mythics to build a deck that you end up not liking. I hope this channel can give you a wide variety of decks so that you can find the deck that really speaks to you. But if it's not this channel, there's plenty of Magic channels out there that dig into specific types of decks. And, you may have to proxy them up and try them out. You may have to goldfish the decks and just pick a couple of opening hands and see, is this a deck that you're going to really like to play, and see how they work out. New formats like Pioneer and Historic and all these kind of things that end up being available on MTG Arena, those will all be available in time. But as a new player just starting out and you want to play free to play, I would not chase every single new deck. Magic is famous for this. One deck ends up doing really great at a widely publicized event, and everybody wants to jump on that deck and everybody wants to build it over the next week or two. If you're playing paper, you know the card price spikes that I'm talking about. And then usually over the next couple of weeks, it ends up diminishing and the shine ends up off of the deck, and we go back to a more normalized metagame. So don't chase decks unless you're really sure that you're going to love the play style. Also look at decks on their longevity. Are the decks ready to rotate out of standard? What type of cards are they using? When we look at something like Raise the Past, the core of the deck is built around this card Raise the Past that is from Magic Foundations. Magic Foundations will be in standard till at least 2029, and there is no hard cutoff for Foundation, so it may be around after that. So you have a good solid 3 years of playing this card in this type of format. Rotations happen every year, and some older sets drop out and newer sets are replaced. But if you get the key cards that are there for a long time, new cards coming into standard end up being here for 3 years. These foundation cards ended up, I believe it was somewhere around 5 years by the time that they were first released. Start building around archetypes that are going to be there for the long haul, so you're not rechasing and rebuilding new decks every single week, right? Awesome. So to recap, that is my 5 strategies for making sure that you can still play free to play in 2026. That is, use the starter deck queue the way that it's meant to be used. Use it a lot. Really understand all the archetypes, all the colors. Make sure you get your use out of those decks. Those are your trial grounds. Those are where you really want to practice before you go ahead and build any other decks. Make sure you're doing your daily and your weekly goals. You should be averaging 1,000 gold per day, and that will end up getting you, whether it's either a jump in or a quick draft every single week. Sometimes it'll be more than one, but those will start helping build up your collection. And you can definitely convert your gold into gems by doing well in the quick drafts, right? You want to aim for at least 2 and 3, but if you can start increasing that average to 3 or 4, you could really start making a decent amount of gems by converting your gold over to gems through quick draft. Third, start with your monocolor decks. There are plenty of monocolor decks in the format right now. If you like any of them, that is where you want to go. Like I said, mono white aggro, this is the top deck in best of 1 standard right now. 58% win rate, and it's something like 16 or 20% of the field on best of 1 on Arena. This deck is everywhere. This is a great place to start. Play the monocolor decks and then build your mana base over time. Fourth is build that mana base in a wedge. Keep 3 colors that you really like playing, and you like playing the combination of at least 2 sides of that coin, right? And build your mana base that way. This way you're not going out and having to get all the shocklands all at once, dropping money in the store to get the resources. You can build up over time if you keep your mana base small. It does limit the number of decks that you can play, but if you're picking your favorite colors, that shouldn't be a problem, especially when you're starting out. And the 5th advice is general Magic advice. We could all use this whether you're on Arena or not on Arena. Don't go chasing the weekly trends. Make sure that your heart is set on a deck before you start building into it. Wildcards are a finite resource on Magic Arena. Once you use them, they're gone. You cannot dust them and get them back in any other way. You have to earn them through wins and winning packs and opening packs on MTG Arena. So those are the 5 steps to make sure that you're playing free to play in 2026. If you like content like this, free to play content, budget content, please let me know in the comments below. It's a way that I've been able to enjoy Magic in all phases of my life, when I had money to play it, when I didn't have money to play it, right? There were times where I had unlimited time but not enough money, and then times where, you know, the money was fine and it was certainly not unlimited, but the money was good, but my time was much more limited. So I want to be able to keep playing Magic through all the coming phases of my life, and that means I want to spend as little as possible on this hobby that is already very expensive. If you do like content like this, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We put videos out 3 times a week, so there's always a lot of content. Subscribing is the best way to make sure that you get notified about everything that's going on. And if this video helps you free to play, consider joining our channel membership, right? For the cost of a pack, less than a pack in most countries, you can join our channel membership and you can get exclusive member-only videos, polls that really kind of push the direction of this channel, and a community Discord where we take these discussions even further and get everybody's input so that we can kind of all learn and grow together. Till next time, have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.